can't go.
Got to make sure we pay the charter bill, because
I hope so.
On one TV, we gotta have that with the lottery.
She's coming tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. She seems very nice.
Yeah, she does.
Yep.
actually, these go to Jen. They're all 2 signatures.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, so, well, are we ready to get started? Okay, whenever you're ready. Okay, welcome all to the July 10th meeting of the Dudley Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. I do have to advise everyone that this meeting is being recorded, and we begin each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'm going to ask for unanimous consent to postpone item 3, reorganization, till next month, and we can have a full board. Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. Oh, and welcome to our newest member, Sean Bowes. Sometimes. We're going to have to be, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to get a haircut. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You guys gotta grow hair.
Everybody around the table is.
Don't even look over here.
Okay, all right, minutes from June 5th, public session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the minutes from June 5th as written.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, I would take it that'll be three with one abstention.
Mhm.
Are you abstaining?
Are you abstaining or are you voting? Well, you weren't a member of the board then.
No.
So, okay. And then accept but not release of the minutes from the executive session on June 5th.
So I'll make a motion that we accept but not release the executive session minutes from June 5th, 2024.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Again, they'll be the same, 301. Okay, Joe Narodzinski. Says discussion of an upcoming project.
Yes.
Okay,
I am Joe Narodzinski. Live at 17 Fairview Ave in Dudley. This is my son Malcolm.
seen him around town.
We are planning on putting an addition onto the house down there. And I was just wondering how that affects what we have, you know, as far as the agreement with the easement and everything.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're in the preliminary stages right now. We have plans drawn, we pulled a permit, getting prices and stuff like that now. So I want to try and get everything in order. Because the way that it enters the house right now, I've got an old rubble foundation. The house was built in the late 1800s.
Mhm.
And to try and get that from one point to another in the addition is just gonna be a monumental headache. I don't want to disturb the foundation. And I was wondering if that is something where, if there's a split in the line, does that do anything with that agreement, or how does that work?
It's the same customer.
The copy of the,
According to the, yeah, I
it's in
read,
there.
I read through this all the other day, again. It says, as long as you're meeting the conditions laid out in that abatement agreement, you know, with the usage levels and ownership of the property.
Okay. I am gonna be.
I mean, if there's changes to the service, there may be fees involved in that. But
Okay.
other than that, that's, yeah, I mean, you talk, so you don't want to move the
Well, the service
Service.
line comes in
Yeah.
into the corner of, the far corner of my house right now.
Yeah,
And if this was my house,
yeah,
the service comes in over here now.
right,
The addition's gonna be on this side, and there's a triangular shape of the old rubble foundation that at some points is 2.5 feet thick, if not more.
okay,
So the optimum way to do it would be to trench from this point over here and wire it over into where the foundation is gonna be over here. Now, if I did that, that would be on the outside, so I'd have to have a separate meter.
you'd have to put a meter pit in.
Why
It has
aren't
to
you
be
doing
metered.
internal plumbing into this new addition?
Because to get it from this point over to this point
You have to go through that old
is,
foundation.
I can't go through the foundation. I can't go through the existing foundation. I'd have to,
But a chaseway, the existing chaseway or
there's
something?
no
that has
existing
heat?
chase at all. The only way would be to come over, go up a wall, and it's also 4 feet back, so I'd have to come into the middle of where my house is and try to tee it somehow over.
You'd have to bring it
through
up,
a
you know, up on the
staircase.
floors, yeah,
It's,
up in the living space.
right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
So-
problem, because, Mr. Chairman, because to have 2 meters, it would have to be metered.
Right, to do it,
Yeah, you'd have.
On the
you'd
outside.
have to move the meter out to a meter pit outside. That's that's the only thing I could, yeah, I mean, that's all, you know, that's engineering and all that other stuff. I don't know how,
Just for clarification, it's gonna be attached to the house, right, the addition?
yes,
yeah. So you're just adding on to your house, that's,
right.
Have you talked to an architect about how how that might be able to be done through the internal of the house? Make a special,
I have called 3 structural engineers, and I haven't got a peep back from one of them. I've called multiple engineers, civil engineers, the whole thing. I finally got a guy to come down and, after 15 calls, to do the civil part of it.
Is this a single floor
It's
add-on?
a 2-level basement and
Yeah.
a first floor. It's just that to try and get it over there, it's gonna be in the middle of the existing cellar someplace. So I prefer to do it on the outside because I also want to trench the new electric into the same spot, the same mechanical area.
that's all.
it's up to you, Joe, it's your house, but you're opening, you are gonna have fees to do it. You are gonna have a separate meter, which is gonna have to be read separately, so it's gonna be like a separate unit type thing. I'm sure there's gotta be a way you can do something internally and rent a chaseway or something. I mean, Alton Drive was a similar situation as some of the houses that had slabs, that they had to go reroute the whole water lines through some of the houses, to bedrooms and stuff, just to make
The
it
only
work.
place where we would be concerned is if your addition was over the service. If your service is coming in and is going in under your foundation, that would be a problem. Other than that, I mean, you can do,
It's gonna be above the foundation,
it's gonna be above the foundation.
or through the foundation.
Yeah, I
Through
mean,
the
you
foundation.
can't build over it, is what I'm,
Yeah,
what.
you're having a
There's
cellar on
no
the
access to
addition,
it
right?
afterwards for replacement.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, you're gonna have a cellar on the addition, right?
Right, it's gonna be 2 levels. The lower level is gonna be living area as well as the second floor. So water has gotta come in someplace in there. The only other way I'd be able to do is if I went out, I brought the line completely out of the back of the house and then trenched over and back that way.
I mean, that, you'd have to, I mean, that's all with engineers and all that other, I mean, somebody would have to draw that up.
We don't have any other single-family houses with 2 meters, right, other than the old outdoor meters, right?
Not
Yeah,
that
the
I,
exception meters, and those are all,
no,
I think there's.
We're actually
what do we have,
eliminating
about
those
half a
too.
dozen of those left?
yeah. No,
And how would we do that in the building?
There would be two separate.
There'd have to be two separate
Two
meters.
separate meters, two separate
Yeah.
names or same name, but, you know, Unit 2, we Unit 1 and Unit 2 kind of thing.
It would not like the unit 1, unit 2, because then the difference between one household.
Yep. That gets into, yeah. That also then changes and again, that gets into
I'm gonna,
some of the legal, so I guess, yeah, that gets into some of the legal aspects too of that whole agreement.
well, with a separate service, electrical service, it's gonna be two-family. I'm still gonna be living in my house
Mhm,
under a life tenancy.
mhm,
They're gonna be buying my place, and then I'm gonna be put into a life tenancy
mhm.
there. So in that case, I would have to go to a second meter anyway, then, right?
If it's gonna be a separate, yes,
Yeah, because you have the agreement.
That becomes-
Then it wouldn't be the agreement, yeah.
Doesn't have to be a separate line, but it'd be a separate meter for them, because it could be internal separately too. It's the same thing, you just read
Now
off different
we're going-
sides.
Each meter different, well,
yeah, we'd have to. Okay.
I mean, the first really doesn't affect you any, you're still gonna be there with your name on it and everything,
Right.
and just, he'd be separate, whoever be your son would be a separate meter and a separate name and a separate,
So everything for that second meter, I'm just saying second, you're still the first meter, say.
Right.
Everything for that second meter would be charged.
Mhm.
Just making sure.
That, we'd have to ask for an opinion on that, but
Yeah.
that's the way I read it, yes.
So in that case, going on the outside would be the way to do it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't need another line going down to the house, I just have to
No.
tee off of that.
Oh,
you'd have to put a separate curb stop on, so we could shut that unit down without shutting yours down.
but that could be,
It could be real wide with a separate curb stop to his
where is
property
the
and
curb
the
stop currently for his property?
top of his driveway.
At the top of the driveway, so that would shut off the whole house, but if something had to be shut down for that second, actually, you'd have to build it that way anyways, because as soon as you tie in, you have active water.
So I have to
So
run
it'd
a
have
whole
to-
separate line.
Not from the street.
Not from the street, no. We could run a curb stop, wire it off from your existing line to a shut off right there, off your driveway, just off your driveway.
Okay.
And then into the house. I don't know if they have to dig the driveway to put the line, I don't know the configuration.
That's- yeah,
I
that's-
would have to dig up the driveway in order to
Put the electrical,
bring it from that one point over to the,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you have to do, yeah. Wherever the Y is, the curb stop is right there for him and whatever.
Yep,
okay.
yeah, so, yeah, okay,
that'd
that,
be another shut off right there, right?
right.
I would put two right there, one for him, one for
Right, that's what I
him.
meant.
Make it closer. That's what you got, you white off anyway.
So what do I need to do after this?
From us.
Just,
We need plans in order to be able to vote.
Because you're not sure what you're gonna do yet, so we would need a plan of how you're gonna do it, who the contractors is, they come talk to us. Every contractor talks to us to know what equipment we like, the brands we like, how it'd be done.
Right.
All that, pay the connecting fees and all that.
Okay.
Meter, all that stuff.
does it need to be a stamped engineered drawing? Because I've already drawn up
No.
a site plan.
I don't think it needs to be a stamped engineer, that's already an existing line going in into an existing house, so I
Right.
mean, it's just a.
It's an addition, yeah, I don't know what the, because you, whatever the building department requires.
No, nothing's been required for that as far as the plans.
Okay. The building
They
department
have
must
to go
be
to-
asking for something.
They have to go to building for just an approval for the addition, I believe. Everything goes to all the
You want to put a
departments.
porch on your house, you have to ask for permission.
Yeah, and then we'll.
Okay.
we'll
For
be like-
setbacks, they have to do setbacks, and I'll make sure back where your house is, I don't think you're,
That's why you have,
Getting it
you'll
anyway,
need a
setbacks.
certified plot plan for the addition.
What's that?
For your addition, the building department will need a certified plot plan.
That's already been done.
Yeah, so that's,
Okay.
that's what you need for building. Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
so, well, yeah, we just need to be able to see what, plan is, so that, it's, how, you're adding, what, 2 bedrooms? 3 bedrooms?
2
5
bedrooms, it's 2 bedrooms,
So you're adding 2 bedrooms and a bath?
2 baths.
Okay.
I've got my system, my septic system, I had the Title V done on it in May, and it passed, no problems. It's designed for a 4-bedroom system, so there were 2 in the existing house, and there were 2 bedrooms in the
Yeah, actually.
new
for
one,
water,
so,
it's not- Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no,
Title V is on us anyway, so.
yeah, well, Title, yeah, Title
Yeah.
V, Board of Health.
yeah, that's already been,
Yeah.
that's all been taken care of.
Yeah, it just, yeah, and then there's no issues down in that part of town with, actually, the moratorium we have right now is on sewer anyways, so it doesn't affect you.
No, good, new pipes on the street, he's got a new connection.
Yeah,
He's
no,
okay.
that's, yeah, we just need some sort of a plan to,
The add-on's gonna be in your name also, right?
No, they're
to be theirs.
they're buying me out. I'm still gonna live there with a life tenancy.
Mhm.
So it will be under their name,
Okay.
but I do have a life tenancy, which I believe
It does state.
that states that, as long
Yeah,
as
I should do something
I
like
have
that.
that.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
And I would leave, I would leave the first meter in his name
Mm-hmm.
and put the second meter in whomever's name, just to differentiate the two, so we
Yep,
would
You
know.
need his name on it anyways.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
and you would know that's
Yep.
his and this is the new.
Yep.
That makes sense, yeah, sure.
And then
Okay, so that's not, all right.
I think we have to vote, do we?
Not at this point, because it's still, we'll just ask, general, yeah, just, you know, bring a plan or whatever.
Okay, and who do I bring that to? George?
Bring a copy.
We need a
To-
copy here.
Bring,
Okay.
bring, if
Bring
you
it to
can
Jen.
bring me at least 2 copies, so I can give one to him and keep one in there,
Okay,
of whatever you have.
When it's time for actual construction work by the contractor,
That's
after
different.
everything's been taken care of with her, then they'll notify me, or somebody will call me, and we'll,
No, but in the meantime, to get the permission to add on.
well, that's what I mean, but after all that is done and
That's
everything,
after
then,
that,
then
yeah.
that's me. to
Right now,
See what they
right
need
now,
to
we're
do.
just, because that doesn't involve us. As far as just need a plan.
okay. And I just need an estimate on costs for the bank? Is that something that I can get from you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can give it to Aura tomorrow,
Okay.
if that works. Yeah.
I
think I'll
believe
see
that
it.
is it.
Okay.
Just as a quick aside, have you heard anything back from Ty and Bond on that walkthrough that we had at all?
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay.
I had meant to be there, I was home, and I was drying out my throat in a chair in my office. Fell asleep in the chair and woke up at 2 o'clock, and meeting was over, the walkthrough was over by then.
Okay, but if anything comes out of that, you'll be in touch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, we'll move 8 up. There's nobody here from 37 Schofield. For a request for a fire alarm?
Yeah, George, I know the gentleman called George.
Yeah.
It's the house on Schofield Ave that had previously burned.
That's right, that's right, you told me
And
about
they're
that.
putting in a fire line, they want for a 2-inch main
Okay.
for fire.
We've
And
never turned that down. I don't think we've ever turned down a fire.
so I just put it
fire
on because
protection.
I'd never known what you've done.
Okay, do we even have to approve that, George?
Yes, it should be approved, but I want to make sure I have the proper approval from the fire department if that's the line that that house needs. I'm sure it's right, sounds right, but I don't want them to come back and say, oh, it should have been a 6-inch line or something, you know, so we should at least have that paperwork at the office.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
Just a quick approval from you guys is fine.
I mean,
I don't see
if
it.
somebody wants to make a, I mean, like I said, we've never turned down,
Does it need a formal motion?
You can make a motion on pretense that as long as we get
As
the
long as it
proper.
meets all-
Meets
Yeah.
all the credentials.
all,
Our
requirements.
Our requirements, yes.
Make a motion, we approve the, fire line for 37 Schofield Ave with the approval of the fire department.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made, seconded. Any other discussion?
One thing, Mr. Chairman, I want to make sure with these contractors, whether it be that or another one, we got to make sure we have something in writing to them that the trenches need to be monitored, because after a couple months or whatever, years or whatever, that we're getting into the problem where these trenches are way bowed out.
Well,
We're gonna-
that's an operations thing, so.
Well, the thing is, we end up having to do so because it's put out, it's the blame on us that we didn't monitor that or tell them about it. We're trying to get a hold of some
Okay,
about
well,
it, so.
okay.
We have to kind of put that in
But-
some kind of writing.
But yeah, as far as 37 Schofield Ave, that's not, okay. So we've got a motion and a second for approval of a 2-inch line, or an appropriate line per
Yep.
fire and water requirements for fire protection. Any further discussion? All in favor?
One
Go ahead.
question, George, would that, you started talking about the trench when they put the line,
Yeah.
like a year later, I think that's something we should discuss down the road, is what happened. I'm just wanting to bring it up, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to make it known
I
on
want it
paper
clear.
that we're not responsible to maintain those trenches, and it's come to our attention a lot from people complaining because it's a water trench. They know it's a water trench, and it, you know, that's why we don't do that.
If it's on private property, it's not our.
It's in the
not our-
street. It's in the street.
Okay.
Okay, so, this, again, to 37 Schofield Ave, the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Unanimous. Okay, so yeah, just coordinate with the fire department. As far as the trenches, we can work something out. Put something in writing, or put together a
Have another rate.
policy, and, yeah, I mean, we need to, if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. So we need to be more clear about that didn't have anything to do with it. Mr. Abrams,
Good evening.
come on up,
Come on up.
and the new addition looks good.
Thank you.
Last time I saw you, I don't think you had it.
And I didn't, whether you mean that or not, thank you.
Well, I'm wearing one myself, so.
Second time in my life I've never grown one.
So,
How can I help?
you are, you put together a proposal or a study or whatever we want to call it, for indirect costs between our enterprise and the municipal budget. And I just, you know, I read through it. I don't know, I had a problem, at least with the email. All I was able to open up was this page here. Did anybody else have a problem with that?
Yeah, it was-
Were you able to get all these pages?
I didn't get all these. I got the Excel spreadsheet and everything.
All right, I know I asked Jen to print off a copy and leave it for me, and she did that. It was riveting reading.
Okay.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah.
But,
Definitely a lot of numbers.
needless to say, about choked when I saw the difference in current and the proposed. But, and having read through it, I do have some questions.
Sure.
I know I'm gonna wanna let the the rest of the board members get a chance to go through these pages, but I suppose we could go through, I don't know what the best way would be for you to go through these and discuss
Yeah.
methodology.
Yep.
Um,
So, Mr. Chairman, can I just make
Sure.
a quick point, if you don't mind?
Sure.
So what you have in front of you, I wouldn't consider this to be a final proposal at all. I
Okay.
consider this to be a first pass at putting something together so that we collectively, this group, the town, and their staff, can start the discussion on trying to fine tune this from this point. So I would not consider what you have to be my final proposal.
Good.
It was just, it was
As I
more.
said, It was just like a
To
draft.
get something to.
And I don't even know if I call it a draft. It was more, so, this group, I believe, has been waiting for something, some analysis like this for some time,
I've
and.
been asking for it since 2018.
No, I know. Okay, but what I'm referring to more specifically is waiting for something from me once you engage with me.
Right.
So I was very busy for a few weeks, so finally was able to get around to it and put something together for you. But I wanted to get something together so that we could start the discussion. And I realized that the numbers themselves are showing something that's quite different from what you're used to. So that's, from my standpoint, this is just the beginning. But I'm curious your thoughts as well, and also, some of the questions or comments you have for me this evening, the reasons why you wanted me to be here.
So you came up with basic percent of the budget.
Yeah.
So it kind of proposed, I believe it's the same thing that you did next door. We dealt with it in the sewer, in our sewer true-ups.
Yes, I was not, Mr. Chairman, I was not involved in that decision. But
Okay.
yes, I have seen that.
But it looks like the same methodology,
Yes,
so
so,
to speak.
yes, so you're correct. I believe that a decent amount next door, they are using what's called the budgetary methodology for the indirect cost for water and sewer. That is I guess, a common or a standard practice to do so in lieu of some other metric that makes sense. So, for example, if we think about, I think the best example, and I might have put this in my notes or my email, is the town administrator's office. So the town administrator, I presume, does do things related to water and sewer annually. Whenever, it might just be like for a few weeks a year, maybe during budget season, but that does happen. But the town administrator's office also deals with all the other departments on a regular basis. So how does one determine how to allocate that department's time and expenses? The work that we do related to this, you want to use data points. You want to use some metric if you can, whether it's like, hours worked, for example. But sometimes that's hard to gather, right? So the budgetary methodology for departments that kind of split their time evenly with helping all departments, like the town administrator's office, for example, that makes a lot of sense. Now, for the other areas, it might not make as much sense. And that's why, like I said, I feel like there needs to be discussion related to those other areas, at least some of them, to see if we could come up with something that might make more sense. So if you use the budgetary methodology, I forget the percentages. Oh, I have them here. I think it's 10% on the water side-ish, and
Yep.
8 or 7 on the sewer side-ish?
6.46.
Yeah. So do those percentages represent these departments' time and effort for supporting water? So accounting, for example, 10% of their time and effort. I don't know. I guess we have to talk to them about it to see if we can figure it out. Same thing with sewer, 6.46%. I don't know. So we did get some feedback because we had those letters that went out. And in the file itself, there are the responses that were provided.
Right.
But just working off of that information, that's like not a whole lot to go off of. So, I feel like there needs to be further discussion to see if we can fine tune this. So, for example, with accounting, if we look back at what normally takes place for accounting, which I have here somewhere. Oh, so they're at 11%. Actually, so that kind of meshes with where they are today.
Right.
at least with the FY '24 indirects, because I believe the FY '25 ones have not been put together. Is that everyone else's impression?
They were put on a budget, I just don't have the amount
What do you
that
mean?
was.
The
indirect-
amount, the
yeah.
indirect amount, yeah, it was, the treasurer collector plugged the number in. And that's what went to the town meeting floor, and that's what got voted on.
So it wasn't, if you were to ask him for the
I think it was
spreadsheet.
about
there-
110,000 per department.
It was higher than that this year,
115.
a little
I
higher.
think one was 130.
Oh, I think sewer was 113 and the other one was probably over 120.
Okay.
And does anyone know how they came up with those numbers?
That's been our question
We've
all
asked.
along.
Okay,
That's been
so
our
the answer is
question.
no as of now. Okay. All right, so I've.
The only thing we've ever had to work with has been this page here.
Right, which
This
I
is
have.
what we get.
Yeah, and so in the file that I sent over,
Yep.
especially on the first tab where I'm pulling in the FY '24 indirects because that was the last version that I saw. I have that version,
Right.
but I don't have the 25 of that version.
I don't have that
Okay.
as of yet, no.
And I did speak, I reached out to the town treasurer collector about that and was told that it's in the works. So it sounds like one's coming, but I don't think it's done yet. That's my impression at least. Okay? But, clearly something had to get in there for the '25 budget, right? So they came.
Plug the number in.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So the '24 indirects, 11% for accounting, also on the sewer side. So that kind of meshes with what I came up with.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then if
you came up with 10 and 6.
well, it's based on the budgetary methodology, nothing
Right.
more. And then for highway, for example, 2% today, or at least in FY '24, 2%. And when you go to the budgetary methodology, jumps way up there, right?
Yes,
So,
that was one of the departments I looked at. and said,
Yeah.
What?
so
Um,
another thing that we should probably talk about at some point is this. I rediscovered this today as I kind of was thinking about what we were going to talk about tonight. There is a town policy that was adopted at some point related to indirect costs. Okay, now
Is
also,
that from a book from 1996?
yeah, so
Yes.
the letter that was sent to me from this board,
Yeah.
or from the office, I should say, from the
Yes.
office of the
Yep,
commissioners,
okay.
referenced how current formulas and calculations were created in the mid-'90s, and probably outdated, right? So
Mhm.
this document was produced, I think, in 2000,
Okay.
and this has a methodology in it where it goes,
The one thing we've ever seen is that 1996, there was a DOR report.
yes, DOR put it together. I mean, the report itself was focused on more than just indirect costs. It was really about how to do all
How
of
to
your
deal with
accounting for
enterprise,
water and
yes,
sewer.
yes.
But it had a section on indirect costs. So my sense, and I haven't validated this yet, but my sense is that the spreadsheet that's used today is based, or at least loosely based, on this.
Mhm.
Okay, so then the question becomes, should this stick around? Should this still be the way? And if so, how closely resembling this is the current spreadsheet? So those are things we could look at, and this might explain why highway is at 2%, for example. I haven't read it that thoroughly so far, so, but this might give us some clue on that as well. So that is a direction we could take, in addition to engaging the departments a little bit more and trying to get a good feel from them.
Now that we've got something to work off of, yeah, there's some back and forth. For example, on that highway page, because you brought it up, that's probably the pages I have the most notes on.
Yeah.
Just by going on their responses from the letter. First one, department provides road, trench, and paving work.
Yep.
Mitigation, no, we do our own digging, and for the most part, 95% of the time, we do our own paving. So we do it ourselves.
Okay.
Um,
So that's even though they do that work, they don't do it 100% of the time.
They do it almost never.
Almost never.
Almost never. It might be a case where if a trench was dug over a large section of roadway, we might ask for their assistance to get it paved and get it, to do it.
We have a mutual aid agreement with them, whether it be the sewer jetter or our machinery or some operator to go help. We have, and they come and help us for certain things, but that's about
We
it.
buy the asphalt and
Yeah.
then the next question, payroll for 2 sewer employees during the winter season for overtime as needed.
We can just throw.
That's plowing. That's plowing street and town road. The water and sewer employees are allowed, if they wish, to plow for the town.
Mhm.
The town pays them. But they're under the agreement that they have to show up for work.
Right.
So that payroll thing is plowing. That has nothing to do with water and sewer. And for the most part, if we use them, we pay for it. We pay, if we use highway personnel for
Yeah.
we have a water main break and our personnel aren't available,
Yeah.
and we call some of their personnel in, we pay them.
Yeah.
The highway doesn't pay them, so there's places where there's some give and take there now.
Yeah.
Some back and forth that needs to happen.
Well,
Whether we do that here now or at some other point.
Yeah.
Some point in the future, that's up to you or up to members of the board, how we wanna go forward with that.
Yeah. Well, based on what you just described, I mean, the budgetary methodology sounds too high. You know, it sounds.
There are some of them. Some, I mean, like I said, I'll be honest with my notes on the accounting. My notes on there say make sense.
Oh,
I read
good.
it and I looked at it. And
All right.
And I read the methodology and the comments, and okay, that makes sense. Another part of it, the accounting mentions audit prep, audit, post payroll, post and audit budget, that sort of thing. It's also noted in the administrator's pages about the annual audit. So there are places where things have you
Yeah.
know, crossed over.
Fuzzy, a little fuzzy. Yeah.
And you know, there are we do get some MIS support from the town, but things like Vadar, our bookkeeping, we pay for it directly.
Mm-hmm.
Bill processing, we pay for that directly. We pay
Right.
Karen Graphics directly for it.
Right.
In fact, we're in a little bit of a standoff right now because we pay them directly, but then we just got a bill from the treasurer collector about, you know, to pay that vendor. We already paid them. What's this for? And we're kind of going back and forth with that. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
lot of fuzziness and gray areas.
Yep. Yep, and I'm aware of that as well. There are certain budgetary line items that fall under the department's budget that I'm not familiar enough with the town's budget without
Sure.
working with someone on that to
Yep.
know whether that should be included or not. So that was going to be part of what I was planning on discussing with the town.
And then like on this spreadsheet, this is
Yeah.
mostly payrolls. There's a payroll line for, and this has been my major beef since 2018. There's a line there for treasurer
Yeah.
for 102,000, that's his salary. And then there's a line there for the collector for a salary of 102,000. That's the same person. The treasurer collector is one person. Then there's an assistant collector and an assistant treasurer. Those are separate people.
Yeah.
But the treasurer and collector is one person.
Yeah.
But we're paying, as it works out,
you
we're
might be
paying
right.
about 70% of the treasurer collector's salary. Because we're paying a portion as treasurer, and then we're paying a portion as collector.
Right.
Well, he's
Okay.
certainly not spending 70% of his time doing water and sewer work.
No, that sounds like an oversight. That sounds like.
But that's been one of those
It's
things.
not an oversight, because we told them for the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a problem with this.
Okay.
And it just,
Doesn't
so
change.
that's why, that was part of wanting to get some sort of a methodology that
Yep.
pulls everything.
Cleaned it up a little
Have
bit.
we ever, have we got any updated material on our fire protection for the town? Because it's been probably not touched for years, and costs have gone quadruple, because we maintain the hydrants, we maintain the water to the hydrants, fixing of the hydrants, what have you. And that was something that's always been a little bit of a
That was one of
issue.
the other things, that's on this spreadsheet here. The hydrant credit.
Oh,
In 2010, it was $10,000. In 2024, it's $15,000.
oh, so you're saying that it should have increased by more than that? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, a perfect example,
Yeah.
a year ago, there was a major fire in the western part of town.
Okay.
They had to shuttle water, it was a big deal. You know, they needed the water, they got the water, they took the water.
Yeah.
In doing so, they caused a water main break that, while we had construction going on, drained our tank.
Yeah.
Put us in a real hurt. The total cost of that whole scenario was well above the $15,000 annual credit. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
one instance wiped that all out.
Yeah.
It's, how do you quantify the value of a hydrant system?
Well, that was going to be my next question, Mr. Chairman, was does anyone know how they came up with that number?
way back in the day. I think they just kind of agreed on it or something.
That was an argument back before any of us.
Because it is.
I know it was, that number came up before I served on water, when we were separate boards. The only other person who's been on the board longer is Tom, he was on sewer. And that was probably before that time. That's a number that just came up and was agreed on, and
Yeah.
it's just been,
Yeah, is
it's
it?
been increased by, I mean, between 23 and 24, it was increased by $377. I mean, that doesn't even cover the cost of one hydrant, never mind, or
Town benefits the
probably doesn't even
insurance of that.
cover the cost
those
of a
hydrants.
hydrant cover. I mean, it just, so it just, there's just a lot of
Yeah. It needs cleaning up.
gray,
It needs cleaning
a lot
up.
of fuzziness,
Yeah.
a lot of old methodology that needs to be modernized. I guess that's where we're at.
Okay.
I had a question on the administrative, it went from 2% to 10%.
You talking about the town administrator's office? Yeah. So,
But it went from 2% costing us $4,300 to 10% costing now over $63,000.
right. So, yep. So the budgetary methodology is currently in place there. There's going to be a discussion on whether it should be or not. But on top of that, and I mentioned this earlier, we include, I didn't mention this part earlier, so we include salaries identified for individuals that work in these departments.
Okay, salaries are in your numbers, okay, so this spreadsheet here then, this isn't something you created, you didn't do anything with this?
No.
This is
I'm
just
just,
something
I'm
that-
just referencing it
Okay.
as a point of
All
reference.
right, that's cool, all right,
Yeah, that's a town produced sheet.
that's, all right, so that,
But that sheet includes salaries as well.
yes,
Yeah.
that's pretty much just salaries.
Yeah, and some expenses towards the bottom.
They have a list of specific,
Like town hall expenses are there.
yeah,
The audit is there, I believe. There might be one or two others.
right.
So anyway, back to the town administrator question. So we include salaries. We include benefits. Because if you're going to allocate a portion of their salaries, you should also allocate a portion of their benefits. That makes sense.
Yep, and that's in their spreadsheet.
Yep, no, it's in there already today. Yep, for sure. And we're including departmental expenses as well. So if you get away from the salaries and benefits thing, there are other expenses in each of the departments. And it's kind of the same thinking, that if you're going to include salaries, well, these individuals that are helping water and sewer they have certain things in their office that they use to do that, like office supplies, for example. So,
But if part of his budget is like maintenance on his car,
right.
we shouldn't be paying for that, because any work he does for that is in-house.
Yes, so this is the part that I mentioned earlier. So there are expenses in these departmental budgets that I am not yet comfortable enough with to know whether they should be included or not.
Okay.
So there are ones, I can tell you right now that the amount of expenses that are currently included for the town administrator's office, the likelihood that that stays in there is very low. There's probably going to be a decent amount coming out once we understand that these things are not what they use on a regular
I'm
basis
looking for that, one second.
to help water and sewer.
Sheet, yeah.
So I just need some help, and it's probably a conversation with the town administrator's office to say, okay, let's go through your budget, and let's identify things that we feel should be part of the indirect cost allocation, and things that should not be. And ones that where they say they should be, well, I need to have a good sense as to why they feel that way.
Another bump, sorry, Mr. President, another bump up to 10%. Where did that number come from?
That's because it's the budgetary methodology that we talked about.
That's just-
It's the water budget compared to the total town budget. That's the simple calculation. What's your water budget compared to the total town budget? That's the percentage being used.
But that's two different entities, if you do that way, because, I mean, we could have a bigger budget than towns. How does that work? You know what I'm saying?
No, well, our total budget for both departments is about 4.5.
Yeah, what if it was?
And the total budget is 25 million.
Okay.
So that's just a percent of that.
Okay,
That's
well,
simple.
on the scenario, the town's 25 million, and we are so, say we had a $40 million water sewer budget.
But then the town's budget would be, the total town budget would be more. The total town budget includes our budget.
Right.
It's just what percent of the total town budget is our budget? That's all that is. It's a simple,
I just,
yeah. Okay, I mean, we can clear that up.
I was here back when the study was done in the 90s.
Okay?
They came in, and somebody actually sat down with each department.
Yeah,
And sat with them for a week.
yeah,
Okay, and watched, are you doing town, or are you doing water and sewer?
right,
And that's where the numbers came from.
Yeah.
Of the amount of time during the day.
yeah.
I mean,
So that's something we could do. At this point, that hasn't happened yet. But if that's where we need to go with this, that's fine, we could do that. We need to have a good handle on what these departments are doing.
Exactly.
So maybe that is the level we need to get to, and,
Yeah, I know in the town administrator's budget, one of the things he calls out in his responses was access to legal. Well, okay, we do have to check with him to access legal. So we call him, he says, yep, go ahead. We contact him. We pay the bill.
right.
So, I mean,
But do you ever work directly with legal?
Yes.
yes.
You
oh,
do?
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It's not the town manager doing that on your behalf?
No, we do it ourselves.
Okay,
We just need his permission. to
We just need his permission to contact, no town department can contact legal on their own. They
Right.
have to, the corner office needs to know who's contact. I think, because back years ago, they had town employees that were just calling legal, and the legal bill was going through the roof, and
Right.
they had no way to control it.
right,
In our case,
Yeah, it makes sense.
we contact legal, we pay for it.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what the best, how you want to dealing with going through all of it.
Well, I feel like where we are now it's not good enough. So we need to spend more time to get the numbers fine tuned, and we have to make sure that this group is comfortable as well as the town, because they're also paying for a portion of the study as well, right?
Sure.
So they need to be comfortable too. So we got to.
Yes.
Okay.
So we need to find we need to find middle ground. So I think in my opinion, and you can tell me yours as well, the next step in my mind would be to start reaching out to these departments and having real conversations with them about what they do, how much time they think they spend on it, and seeing if we can, for lack of a better word, fine tune the numbers
Right.
to to show that, to represent.
Justify, I mean,
Yeah.
if a number is gonna go up, let's justify that.
Right, exactly. And that hasn't happened other than just the letters being
Right,
provided,
right.
except for the treasurer collector's office. I worked with the treasurer collector, and instead of responding to the letter, he wanted to do a more detailed approach, I guess. So once he started talking to me about these things, I thought it made sense to actually put a little Excel template together for him. And I did, and it's actually in the file that was sent off.
That's,
Where he went through, he and his staff went through and listed out all of the tasks that they do regularly. And then listed out which, how many, no, I'm saying this wrong. Listed out which tasks they do on behalf of water and sewer and put a number of hours on that.
Yes.
And compared that
That's
to
all these pages.
what they do, how much they work total throughout the year. And we came up percentages that way. And actually, he made that really easy.
And yes, I went through them and, yeah, one of them, a third of the department's time on water sewer. Some of them are double dipping.
That's what the treasurer wants?
Water and sewer indirect cost allocation for the treasurer collector department. It says 50% water sewer.
We have a 20%.
Uh,
20% for water, or just under 20.
Where is it? I know somewhere it's, assistant collector. Under assistant collector, it's almost 50%. They're saying 51% of the time is spent on non-water sewer.
Right.
Now, that's collector, I can, maybe.
Yeah, process
Treasurer
a lot of
collector
payments.
department, treasurer collector department, treasurer, no, okay, yeah, it's where treasurer collector, assistant collector, assistant treasurer. It says, they spend a third of their time on water sewer. I guess I have to see how that's justified. I didn't actually go through and look at number of hours a week, a month, and a year. But it's something obviously high. But and I guess that's where we have to go back and forth and see what's correct.
So, yeah, the allocation using this new way is close to what it was prior, from a percentage standpoint. For water, FY '24 was about 16%, now it's about 19% using this new way. And for sewer, it was 12.5%, and now it's 19% for sewer. So that one went up. Well, they both went up, but at least water's is closer.
The double dip thing was, it says if one position spends 2 of the 10 hours per week collecting bills for water, that amount goes to the water column. If one position spends 2 of the 10 hours per week collecting bills for water, that amount would go into the sewer column. It's one bill. So the amount of time you spend on it is being applied against both departments. That
Well, it should be applied against both, but maybe it
It
doesn't
would,
take quite as long as you're saying.
half,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because most of our bills are combined, water and sewer. Some of them are sewer only, some of them are water only.
Right.
Very few of them are sewer only.
But it doesn't take any longer to process a water bill. If you process a water bill, it doesn't take any longer to
Yeah,
process
I
a
mean,
water
because
sewer
it's
bill.
all, it gets plugged into Vader, and Vader spreads it out. So it's, the person's time isn't, so if they spend 2 of the 10 hours,
Yeah, I see your
they're
point.
calling it 4 hours, not 2 hours.
Right.
That's just the way I looked at it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, I don't know.
Okay.
There's a lot to chew up.
Okay. So is the board in favor of me working further with the departments to see if we can fine tune these numbers a little bit more?
I personally am.
I am
Yeah.
too, I just,
Absolutely. I think what, and yeah, fine tune the numbers, and I guess at some point, there needs to be an agreement
Right.
between this process has been, actually with most departments, it's not a problem. It's just getting, a legitimate number.
Right.
And, we knew up front that, it could come up higher.
Right.
We didn't see a path to that, but it could.
Right.
It could very well. But we want to justify it.
Right.
And justify it against what we pay directly for bills for some of those services.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I think what we need, as a board, is if they're saying 10% of their job is water sewer, we gotta be proving that. We can't just take somebody's word.
Yeah.
We have to, for our users.
So one approach could be to try and use the template that I put together for the
Mhm.
treasurer collector's office with other departments as well. But we would be asking them to spend time.
Do a time study, basically.
Yeah, basically do a time study. And some departments may be willing to do that, and others, hopefully they're all willing,
I
but,
think
And
the only real department that does, the big departments are treasurer collector and town administrator. Really, none of the other departments, the big budget, and highway. Police is zeroed out.
Fire.
Anything we do with police, we pay directly. If we have a police officer on a job site, we pay them.
yeah,
And with fire, we don't do anything with fire. Or fire doesn't do anything for us that would be billable.
right.
If anything,
And we zeroed out fire.
we zeroed it. If anything, the fire process costs us. Actually, it does cost us money. Because if they fight a fire and they use the water, that water doesn't get billed and we eat it. And that's the nature of the business. If they break a hydrant, we fix it.
Right.
If they cause a water hammer and blow a main, we fix it.
Yeah.
So, if anything, they cost us money, but that's the nature. That's the nature of the business, and
Yep.
we work with them to try to mitigate that.
Yep.
even you have the town collector and treasurer do a spreadsheet out. That's still, I don't want to say their interpretation, but it could, you know what I'm saying? It could be, well, if I put, instead of 2, if I make it 3, I'll save the town a little money. There's got to be justification for the numbers. I don't think we can take anybody's word. That's my opinion.
Okay, so what would you recommend then?
Personally, I would like to see a time study for every department. That's somebody sit down with them for a week and see what they actually do.
Okay.
There's going to be an expense to that.
I don't understand that. But we gotta justify it to our users, what we're paying. And if it comes out we're paying more, we can show them, this is the time study, this is the time they spent. I mean, how many years has it just gone from, they add 10,000 to this year, 10, 12,000 next year? No justification.
Yeah, that's been the major beef we've had, if you want to call it a beef, was that, it would increase, and there was at one point, it increased one year over the next, it almost doubled,
Right.
just like that, and it was like, what's the justification? Well, that's our costs. Well, says who? you know, how do you justify?
Yeah, it should tie back to a budget,
Right.
and it should tie back to a methodology.
Some,
And
yes.
whatever the numbers end up being based on those two things is what it
Right.
is.
Right.
Yep.
No, never mind. Well, I just, so, like, looking through the assistant collector and treasurer collector's office, and I have an idea of what they do. My only discretion that I see there is when they say collecting payments in person. We bill quarterly, so it's 4 months out of the year that they're busy. Then the other, it's not.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So that's my only thing that looking through, because having been down there, knowing what they do, is that I don't necessarily think every month
Yeah.
they're.
That might
Yeah.
represent that 1 month, but not
Correct.
the other months.
Correct,
This-
and that's
Yeah.
my only thing, and it's not, it could be spot on,
Yeah.
but just, you know, like, we read in July, the bills go out the beginning of August, they're due for 30 days. Well,
90%, 70% of them get paid in that 30 days.
right. And I know they all come into my mailbox, not all of them, but a lot of them come to my mailbox and I give them to them. You know what I mean? So but I know when the people who are paying, majority of them are paying them, yeah, you have your late ones, but most of the late ones like to mail in the check or, so they don't, you know. But that's my only.
I see your point.
That's my only question.
Yeah, so that can get
about-
watered down a little bit.
But just
probably.
looking through, because I do know, you know, what they do, how much time, things like that, just from having been down there in the past.
Silence.
So I think your point is that
I don't
there
necessarily.
are months where there's no billing going on, so that
Correct.
doesn't apply.
So I don't,
Yeah.
they would have some traffic, but I don't necessarily
like-
think as much.
Yeah, not probably not nearly as
Not every
much.
month. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I would say, you know, you're gonna have your busier months, absolutely.
Yep.
And it's hard for them to distinguish, I get that.
Yeah, to try to, it's not an easy process.
No,
We just-
absolutely.
We just want to get some sort of justification.
Yeah, of course.
For what we're, you know, we've-
I mean, maybe they're averaging that over all 12 months? You know, like,
Maybe.
I just was curious, that's
Yeah.
my only,
We can ask that question.
thank you, just
Okay.
seeing that.
So what do you need from us?
What do you need from you?
I know, I want to give, because I'll be honest, I don't think everybody's seen those,
No, I'm seeing it for the first time.
that booklet, the booklet of all of the individual departments, so I want to give them a chance to look at them, and if you have any comments, send them to Jen
Yep.
to avoid violation of open meeting laws.
And then what I'll do
And then
is
she can.
send them to you.
She can send
Sure.
your question areas to you, and then that'll give you our perspective as far as this first part, and, you know, as you try to clear up the numbers,
Right.
you
And
can deal with that.
can we get him, I know Bob had mentioned it before about the hydrant credit, how more information, perhaps we could get you some information about how to come up with a hydrant credit feasible.
It's usually comparable towns to us with comparable systems, and,
Yeah,
you know, what they
so
charge.
if we could get him.
Douglas would be one.
I just remembered at one of the meetings, he had mentioned, oh, actually several times, he's mentioned about it.
Webster's a little bit bigger, but not.
If
that
we
much.
could, and if I can get you some information about the hydrant credit, would that help with that, do you think?
Yeah, what things that I would be interested in would be if anyone's aware of how the number came to be at some point. That would be helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's possible that nobody knows. And then also, is it based on the number of hydrants? You know, is it like a per hydrant cost?
Okay.
And if
I
that's,
seem to remember that being.
If I remember,
an
Scott, it was a
argument
negotiation almost at that point, because I was around.
It was an argument between the Board of Selectmen.
And that firm.
I don't think we even had a town
Gardner,
administrator.
West Gardner came
then.
in at that time, was that the time?
I don't think we even had a town administrator. It was just the Board of Selectmen versus, I want to say it was Scott, but Scott was sewer. So it wouldn't have been Scott. But it was somebody like him who is just really, you know,
Yeah.
deep dives into numbers.
Right.
Let me see what I
It
can.
just puts me to sleep.
okay,
And I'll
so,
get you
so
some-
if it is a per hydrant cost, then we would want the number of hydrants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some sort of, there's got to be some sort of
How
a,
300.
300? Right off the top of your head. All right.
well, he knows how many there are because he
Well, that's great.
It's the service.
Hopefully.
Is that,
Plus my cost, and that's pretty hefty.
is that close, 300?
Oh, yeah.
Can I go drive around and count them all?
Yeah.
Tomorrow during
Take the
work?
truck, take the
Okay.
truck.
Actually, we've got engineered drawings
Yeah.
that show each hydrant location
We could
on
actually take-
each street, and you could count them from that.
We could actually take other towns and based on
Just find out what,
the amount of
Yeah.
hydrants and what they're paying.
because
You get
in,
percent.
Do some digging.
I know in one other town in the area, they don't even pay indirects. They don't pay them. The town doesn't bill them, and they don't, that's Bob's town.
Do they have an enterprise fund?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
he's enterprise, and,
Well, they should. They probably should.
well, he also does grant work for them, so.
Okay.
He does a lot of work for the town side as well.
Right.
They have a really good working relationship. Someday I'd love to have that here.
Let me ask you one question that I'm just curious about. So we already talked about the hydrants, because that's a service that
We provide.
you're providing.
Yes.
Can you think of any other service that you're providing to the
We're
town?
maintaining water to the system for fire protection and for use, and that's constant maintenance, constant repairs.
Anything, any department, but those costs are in the bill. That's what our bills
Yeah,
encompass.
are you billing them?
And
for that?
every town,
We're not billing the town, we're billing our users for it.
every town is getting, oh yeah, the town hall pays a water bill.
The beach doesn't get billed,
Mhm.
does it?
They do,
The
as one.
outhouses- That the beach
I don't
doesn't.
think so.
No, I don't have a
Right.
meter.
What?
The,
Just thought of
the
that.
town is paying a bill
Yeah.
as one entity.
No, fire department gets a bill, water department,
Okay,
town hall
all
gets
the-
a bill.
All the
highway
other
gets a bill.
people in town not on our service is not paying a part of that bill.
Oh, yeah, people who live outside the district, no, they don't pay for it. But they get fire protection out of it, right?
No,
That's the whole fire
we're
protection.
talking about the town, like the town departments.
The town departments, we're not talking about, yeah,
That's what we should be talking
we're
about.
talking about
Yeah.
individual departments, right?
Does town hall pay a water bill?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. And do they pay for a fire service? Or is that where the hydrant comes in?
That's just the hydrant coming into.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
There's no
Yeah, I mean, they have
separate thing for
sprinklers,
them.
they have a hydrant line coming, a fire protection line coming into the building, but,
Okay.
yeah, that's not,
Can you think of anything else? Like, what about vehicles?
nope. We really don't provide any other service to the town that would be billable, that I can think of. I know they want part of rebuilding this jungle gym outside, playground, they want to put a splash pad in. Well, and then they're talking about the cost of the water for it. Well, right now, I mean, and there's only, I think the only ones we abate,
Profit view.
the Little League, we've abated that bill for a gazillion years. But other than that, I don't think there's anybody.
No.
What about,
Even the soccer league they pay a bill.
They turn the water off there.
Oh, they turned the water off? Yeah, so they
Do you,
don't have
you
water.
do have equipment, right? You do have vehicles?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they ever get used for snow and ice removal?
Nope,
They don't?
Only for ourselves,
for our.
Okay.
but never.
So you're not, you don't loan them out?
Well, because in the
Yeah.
past, there was an argument about, okay, we use a truck and we break it, who pays for it? And
Okay.
And.
Makes sense.
And that, again, that was a decision,
It keeps it
that
nice,
was before my time.
keeps it nice and clean from
Right.
my standpoint, so
Right.
that works.
They don't plow, in
Okay.
fact, we went and bought a pickup truck sander last year, and then never had to use it because
It hasn't
the winter
snowed.
was,
Yeah.
the winter wasn't.
Hope we never have to use it.
Yeah.
That's it, but I mean, we went and bought it because of our drive, because,
Okay. Well, if you think of anything related, of that ilk,
yeah, anything that.
you can let me know later.
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
that we
All right, so I
provide.
can't think of anything that I need from you other than, maybe a timeline, other than,
At this point, the next, yeah, we wanted to get this cleaned up for the previous budget.
Right.
It didn't happen.
didn't happen.
We just could move on to the next budget, but yeah, absolutely, we want to be done.
Yeah.
I would say
By town meeting.
Yeah.
by October town meeting, by fall town meeting. Right,
Okay.
that's
And-
mid-October,
And when does this group meet?
first Wednesday of every month, except for this month. The first Wednesday always seems to be right near the 4th. And somebody's always on vacation.
I wasn't this year, it was
Oh,
the night
no.
before
Yeah.
the 4th.
When is fall town meeting? Does anyone know the date?
Yeah, bear with me one second.
The end of October, something.
Is it the beginning of October or
It's
the end?
usually towards
Okay.
the.
So you have three
right before
meetings, you
Thanksgiving.
have three, if I'm right, you have three more meetings before town
Yeah,
meeting.
it was October 21st, I believe, is town
We
meeting.
could always schedule an extra one if this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we should be able to cover it during that time. So what if I aim to have,
We're out of budget cycle, so it might, I don't know, I don't know how your workload is, but, yeah.
my workload is way better than it was a few weeks ago, but I'm about to take a little time off, so.
Yeah.
Beginning of September, maybe? If
Municipal
we,
budget-
if we,
municipal budget's all rolled over now, so it should get easier for a little while.
what if we at least, how about you plan to put me on the agenda for the beginning of September? I'll just update you on where we are. Hopefully I have a draft for you at that point, but if I don't, I can at least give you an update. And we have we have the next meeting in October if we need it. Does that,
Sounds good.
does that work?
Sure.
I'll put you on.
If we were to go the route of doing a time study on each department, say for a week, what would that entail? I don't know, because that's gonna take time and money and I'm sure it's gonna put,
Doing a time study is brutal. I had to do it once, and I swore I'd never. do
Yeah,
it.
are you asking like an individual to actually go to a department and watch what they do for an entire week?
that's what they did for that one in the 90s.
Okay.
That would cost a fortune.
And then do the same for the next department another week?
Well, I don't know if we need to do all the departments, the major ones, like treasurer, collector, administrative.
The
Problem.
let me just, if you don't, if I
Where you
may,
going?
the problem for seeing that is that you would want them to watch during a pay, right after a billing cycle
Yeah.
during pay,
Yeah.
and that's coming up, or not till
But
after
and then
October.
if you did that in August, you can't really apply that to
Correct.
September because
Right,
the work is different.
right.
So it's yeah, that,
It's,
doing an actual,
and I'm just,
Down and dirty
my,
time study is-
just looking over it, and I am gonna look over it more, but for having worked down there, I know what they do. I know what gets done for water sewer and what gets done for other stuff. And it doesn't, not so much the treasurer side, the collector side, and it doesn't look, like I said, my one question was that the hours,
a lot of it now is automated into
Right.
the Vadar system.
right. So,
It used to be, it used to be a real hassle to produce, and that's part of the process from the the 90s, was processing the bills.
Right.
They had to be printed,
Yep.
folded, stuffed in envelopes,
Yep.
licked, put a stamp on it, everything had to be done. Now we're paying a vendor to do that.
Right. And you're paying that
The printer,
direct.
you just hit
We
a
pay them
button on
directly.
Vader,
Right.
print bills, done.
Right.
Print a stack of bills.
Yeah.
So it's, a couple reams of paper and toner cartridge and.
Yep.
And, it's done in 2 hours or less.
I would say that's probably less that they print in the office.
But, with the way printers are now, I mean, you go back far enough, you get the old mimeograph machines. I mean, going to smell like alcohol. The process has changed. Everything is so automated now that,
Yeah.
what are we paying for?
I just think we get a clear number of the percentage of their workload.
Yep.
And have it not come from them, it sounds like, is also what you're suggesting.
Well,
Because honestly, I mean, in my eyes, and I'm not to be cynical, but you ask somebody how much they're doing for somebody else, they're gonna inflate it. 9 times out of 10.
I think that's where we can look at it and say, really, we can question it and yeah. to do an actual straight out.
I think I'm Larry because I've been here the longest, and this has been an argument for 25 years. Getting clarification of where the numbers came from.
There's a lack of trust. There was a former selectman that used to say, assume positive intent. It's difficult,
Yeah,
just because,
right.
so. In any case, yeah, we will move forward with what your, talk to the individual departments and firm these numbers up, and we can look at the times and see what.
Yeah,
See if something more in-depth needs to be done.
okay. So I think I like that approach, and I agree with it. If it's okay with this board, would be, why don't we let them tell us what they think they do?
Yeah. And if something.
And then
is online, we
if
can-
something
we can
looks
answer it.
way off, or something looks off, then we as a group, this group here, can discuss it, and then maybe put together a list of follow-up questions to see if we can get some
Sure.
clarification.
Yeah.
I like that approach.
Yes.
Just, I will not be here for the September meeting. That's the one meeting I miss a year.
What else?
What if we change the day?
Tell you.
I'm gone that
If,
week.
if you want to plan out your vacation time, talk to her. Good at it.
I take the same week every year.
So does that mean the meeting doesn't happen, or
No,
just?
it happens,
No,
but they
we
just
shouldn't
have to
have
be
him block
aware.
We just have to do better with numbers, with minutes.
They'll have all the information they need, provided that I get everything
And the
by
girl
that
behind the
Thursday
screen
before the
over there
meeting.
has to keep track, we have to make sure that it gets recorded, the recording
And
works.
I have a voice recorder too, remember?
Oh, that's right, we have 1 year.
So would you prefer to not have the meeting that date?
No,
No.
it's,
Okay.
I will have
We can do it.
everything, I just have to keep reminding them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
Been
move
gone
with
so
that
much, it takes
timeline.
so much
Yeah,
time
it's just
to get to that.
hitting
I did.
hitting the August date is not, hitting the August date is not possible at this
No,
point. It's
and
too
that's
close.
fine.
Yeah, no,
I'm teasing.
August is,
I know.
yeah.
So, okay.
But, so like, if I have questions, just something, because like, they do liens
Mhm.
for us.
Yep.
But they do liens because they don't, there's not the
Yes.
allowance of shut-offs. So that's something
That's an internal beef.
that's a gray
Another-
area.
Another beef that we have with them. They don't provide us with the information on accounts that are overdue so that we can initiate shut-off, and they just take those bills and lien them against
So
the
then we're
property.
charged for the lien, for the bills to be liened, but, so that's,
So it could have been, I think you're saying it could have been avoided.
it could have been
Yeah.
avoided
Yeah.
because
We
we
have
could have.
methods that we could have employed that we
Right.
can't employ because.
We're allowed
Correct.
legally to
So that's one of those, there's a
We-
couple little,
But
put door
technically,
hangers
but
on the
technically
doors
they
to shut
they
the
are,
water off, and then
They
usually-
are
they are
doing it.
spending the time, so,
right, so it's one of those,
yeah.
but like if I have questions like that, I can just send them to you and you can tell me, because you might reason it out more than
Sure.
I see. Okay.
You
thank
might not get the answer you want. That's fine.
Doesn't matter.
We can
As
just
long as
keep
I get
it-
an
we can
answer
keep
out
it-
of it.
And basically, your task in all of this is to be a subjective.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Reasonable.
Object-
If you ask DOR about it, is it reasonable? Like, that's all they really care about.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're just trying to get to reasonable. It might
Right.
not be perfect for both sides, but we want it to be reasonable.
If you have any questions, you let me
Isn't that the
know.
best compromise? Nobody's happy.
Yeah,
We started this, we knew that it could go either way, but
If you're around, go to Block Island if we have to get answers.
Yeah.
somewhere.
It's
in
beautiful there.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it has to be, look, okay, I don't wanna settle on something at 5% just to appease when it should have been 2%. Maybe not making myself clear, but
Yeah, both sides need to agree on it ultimately.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's how you're gonna get there.
last 5 years, it hasn't been.
Right, but-
And that was the biggest question when we started this process. Well, are you going to agree? At the end, if it comes out, are you going to agree? It says, well, if it's, we're going to take a time to talk back and forth and come to an agreement. We'll come to it, we're reasonable, we'll come to an agreement.
Right.
And we've
Yeah.
talked also that,
Then, and like you said, the best agreement usually is nobody's happy, you know? Sometimes you get them where everybody's happy, but
Right.
it shouldn't be one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling we've had.
Yeah.
for years. And
And we talked as a board that if this number gets too high, it might be cheaper for us to go outside the town hall,
So how would you do that?
do our own billing and have our own office somewhere.
we'd have,
You have to form a district.
that
Water
we'd
district.
have to form a water district. That's very different.
Right.
But in any case, yeah. Okay.
All right, great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, yeah, sure,
Thank you.
we'll be in touch.
I won't hound you with emails.
You can, I don't mind.
You just won't answer them, that's all.
No,
No, he did.
I'm good at answering.
You did, you did, you always did.
Yeah.
I'm always on email. I love email.
Oh, so we'll
Yeah, I gotta ask you, how's it going across the river?
I haven't talked to those guys in a while.
No?
No, and I mean, actually, we'll talk here in August, we'll be talking again in November.
But Tim's
Well,
probably
that's
going
it.
through fiscal year close right now,
Right.
so I should be hearing from him soon, because he usually sends me all that stuff.
October,
Once-
November, we should be looking at a true-up meeting.
Yeah,
And that's good, we finally got something other than just an email, maybe.
right, right, well, yeah.
Sit and talk about it and actually have a process.
My opinion on it is this, I don't know if you want it or not, but Tim, the town
We
accountant.
value your opinion, okay?
What's that?
We value your opinion.
Oh, I hope so. That's great. Tim, the accountant over there, is great, and he's very responsive. The issues that this board has had with that town has nothing to do with him. It's the years past.
Oh,
That,
I'm well
and,
aware.
and it was us trying to get caught up, and Tim and I were trying for so long to get caught up, and it just took quite some time for
And there was
different
a-
reasons.
There was a communication breakdown that
Yes.
was happening, and we
Right.
finally got that straightened out, and
Right, so it seems like.
we're on the way, we're on the road.
Seems like we're there, and it's been, years coming, and
Right.
thankfully, we were able to get there.
Finally get there.
So if there's any ill will, it shouldn't be towards him, it was
No.
the predecessors,
Yeah. The first time I said something, I think it was me that said it, he just about came out of his chair.
Yeah,
And in hindsight, I can understand why.
right. Yeah.
But on our side, and I said before.
That's when we figured out where the communication
You
was.
have to get
There's
sworn
been a
in
lot
for
of bad
capital
blood coming
improvement.
from that side over here.
I keep forgetting to tell you.
Yeah,
Who are you guys to question
Jackie
us?
saw you and she forgot to tell you.
there was some
It's within-
personalities in
It's,
there.
it's within your right.
It's within your
I think it's right in the IMA, you can do
Right.
it.
I don't want to
if you
do it anymore.
You're supposed
I
to
don't
be
blame you.
informed.
Okay,
All right.
cool, yeah, I'll
Thank
let you go home.
Okay, have a good night.
You live in
Thank
what,
you.
Franklin?
Ashland.
Ashland, well, you got a little bit of a ride.
You know where that is?
Yeah,
Yep.
next to Framingham. Yeah. Okay, time bond correspondence. I know we have some,
You did get a few emails.
yeah, it's just been,
And then the big thing is, you should have all gotten the Potash Brook. I didn't print it all, you all should have gotten it by email,
that's what I mean.
the Potash Brook sewer interceptor.
Yeah, we had a
I
meeting.
I got it as an email, yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
there's a meeting on it. We had a meeting on it today, so.
Yeah,
Plans are in the works now to begin the
I would
process,
have to
so.
walk down here, yeah.
You do evaluations, cammering, stuff like that.
That's, yeah, that's on the, just so you're aware, Sean, we have a siphon, a backup, right in front of mine. When you get heavy rain and infiltration, sewer, it bubbles, bubbles up on the street.
We don't want that.
State lights, you know what happens then. So, we've narrowed it down to a section of pipe that has some elevation issues and possible size issues. And, with that here and then add a little more here and then add a little more here. The size changes and pitches and everything else. And we're working on the study part of that, engineering part of that to get that replaced. In the meantime, we have a sewer moratorium, basically from the fire station west. Everything that comes through the system at that point, we can't add to. And that's pretty much state driven.
Sean,
Time
I'll-
Bond is working on that,
I'll send you a bunch of, I'll overload you with emails at some point,
all kinds of packets. Um,
keep you busy. Yeah.
So I know as well, there's a project proposal out there, a concept memorandum out there for the Eagle Drive neighborhood as well. So that's,
We have a number with that?
Mhm.
it's not public information yet.
This is it. Well, if that's printed, it is public information.
Well, yeah, yes, they haven't, this is the town, the corner offices,
It becomes public once it's been signed.
once it's been signed, yes. It's still privileged information at this point. So. It's a big number. But in any case, they're working it, if you want to see it. Town hasn't agreed to it yet, so.
We have a choice.
Yeah, well, it's still, that's
Does that,
there.
can I see that again?
There's multiple parts of that, we can look at that offline. But in any case, probably shouldn't have brought it up to you.
Does that include occupants?
No,
No,
Yep.
no, that's
That's
just
engineering.
strictly engineering and construction, not including fees or anything.
okay.
Should.
No, that's a separate thing.
Yep, it wouldn't be
That would be
included, because
separate.
that would be what would be going out for bid. That type of information. We're separate.
Okay.
It was not
So
included in
whatever
that.
goes to town meeting will be
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. That's all up for negotiation.
Could be less, depends on what they decide.
All right, nothing else from Ty and Bond, it's been pretty quiet.
Nope.
Those two complaints for, or issues with the water main project will be, there's a meeting tomorrow. Though that's the tree,
There's two meetings tomorrow,
Yeah.
one at 10, one at 11.
Okay.
I did tell both customers that I was going to mention the complaints again.
Mhm.
I did send them off to the engineers again, and the engineers have been following back up with me.
We'll be talking with the contractor directly,
Yeah.
so they'll hear them.
Yep, they just come in weekly.
Anything more on the fund zone request?
So I spoke with the
Actually,
designer.
You're on the board that.
Yeah, I'm on the rec committee, so I spoke with the designer of the whole thing, and he's reached out to the splash pad company to try to get usage and information that you have asked for.
Okay.
So at this point, he's waiting on that, we haven't heard anything additional.
Okay.
Some people have voiced concerns directly to the office regarding the splash pad.
Okay. Our customers or just town people?
Both.
Okay.
That Mass DEP puts into effect May 1st till September 30th
Right.
every year.
Yeah, 9 to
The
5.
9 to 5, no watering. When you're telling people they can't use water per Mass DEP, how do you run a splash pad? All I've been saying in response to that is, I know other towns do it. This isn't a,
This
this
isn't a
is
this isn't a-
preliminary. So I said, that's all I can tell you at this point. But people have mentioned it, several.
It's on the could we, should we stage at this point.
That's what I've said.
Put in a tank, holding tank to use during the summer.
Yeah, I don't know. And they also, he was trying to get us more information about how the splash pad drains, because there's something about drainage and also something that we should be aware of that I noticed on the design is that they have a spot for a water fountain. So
It's gonna be that new wireless water.
I was like, ooh, hey, not only about the splash pad, but there's a water fountain on the design. So the design is in the upper lot, as we all know, and it's gonna have a front part and then a rear part to it where there's a paved path around it. And on the paved path around it is a water fountain. So
In
I
the
just-
engineering, they're gonna have to put all those lines in.
I just happened to see, so I know we talked about the splash pad, but so there also will be a water fountain going out there. So I'll get more information.
So they're gonna be looking for water one way or another.
I think so.
And we need, like the customer that was here earlier.
Yep.
We need some designs to see.
And again, it's all
What are we dealing
preliminary,
with?
but I did see that, and so when we meet again, and I talk to Michael, I believe his name is, I'm gonna, say, okay, so not only are we looking for water for a splash pad, but we're looking for water for a water fountain. I think there was only one, but I have to,
And that has
We
to
have to
be,
discuss about how do we, like you said, tell the town they can't use water when they can.
and that's for the discussion for them.
and I do know that,
No, discussion for us.
Yes.
yeah, the splash pad that they're looking at, it can be set by timer, so it only can be used between certain hours, so that, I know one of the concerns was like it going off at 8 o'clock at night, and it is only activated. It is a splash pad
It's
that
not
has
something that's
constantly going. It has to be physically activated, but it would only be during certain hours. You could say, I'm just, 9 to whatever, or if you started later, whatever, and if they find they can change it, it can be a programmable.
That's all on them.
But I know those were questions that you had asked about, so I'm trying to bring back anything I
Once we
can.
determine if and when we supply water, how they use it
Where it
is
drains.
not our concern.
Right.
Where it drains is not our concern.
Right.
Well, it does if it goes into sewer.
And that's what they're, so when we get to that point, I'll definitely
I actually was
get
down-
George involved.
down in Florida, my weekend, there's a park next to my place, and they had a couple splash pads that got taken out there in the hurricane. And I actually got to talk to somebody that was looking them over.
Mhm.
They're more than just feed a line to it, there's filter systems on that, it's like a pool.
But that's all there, that's not our issue.
And I know one of
Somebody
the-
has a dishwasher in their kitchen, that doesn't matter to us.
One of the questions that was asked at the last meeting where we talked about it is, would it only be Dudley residents, things that, but I just so that you know, that,
We get caught in the weeds a lot, that's again, not our concern.
but just so you know,
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I mean, to interrupt you.
Yep.
But it is our concern, if we okay it as non-payable, we're okaying non-payable out of towners?
so because.
That, again, that's for,
But because it, just so that you know, the way that this whole thing runs is because it was a grant, it is open to the entire community. It is not just to Dudley residents. You cannot charge for it. Some towns charge for their splash pads. If they put it in themselves, they can charge for it, but because this was a grant-funded item, it has to be open to all the surrounding communities, and there can be no charging or anything. Just, because that was one of the
Well,
questions
I
that
think
somebody asked, I just,
we need to see a concrete proposal before we can, what ifs?
Yep.
We can argue what ifs forever. We'll
yep,
be
so
here
as
till
soon as they
midnight.
get me, I have a copy of the proposed plan, but I don't have any usage or anything of that nature yet, so as soon as I
That's what we
do,
need.
I will get that to you.
Okay. Budget, revenue review?
I don't have old budget, because they're just closing it out this year, and I don't have new budget, because we're just starting, so.
That's what I
But-
assumed.
That's an
We-
easy review.
We did end with money still, I'm not exactly sure how much, so, everything was good. We'll go there.
I know they ordered some nice-to-have stuff that will benefit, like the pipe finder. I think that was a great expense. Okay. Shut-off policy for non-payment. Again, we've got, until we can get the information,
Yep.
all of those policies are, all the way down, 14, 15, 16.
14 is a new one that you have a copy of.
Which,
That's the one from the Board of Health.
oh, okay, okay.
Should we table that till we have a?
Yeah,
After the
Yep.
rework?
get a chance to look at it and mark it up,
Absolutely.
and, that's right. That's, the Board of Health came up with
Here,
basically
here.
standards policy. And that, take a look at it, mark it up, and we can discuss it at the next meeting. It's just, how we do business. I read through it, some of it I like, some of it, and I'm not too crazy about, but something to take a look at and see what we can come up with, yeah, for just, basically almost a code of conduct. Anything else in that? Yeah, it doesn't look like anything else. Yeah, we haven't done anything with fees or indirects. Well, I mean, that's a placeholder, but what's?
That's the things you wanted to discuss under
Oh,
indirect?
yes. Well, under old business, indirect costs, and there was a
Yeah.
placeholder. There were a number of bills that came through.
Thank you, everyone, for getting them all, like, signing them and getting them.
Actually, there was
I'll
one.
bug you, don't worry.
There was one bill that came for, I believe it was for water and for sewer.
Yep, they're both attached.
Oh, yeah, okay. And in there,
Is that the one that's related to the indirects?
yes,
Yeah.
Karen bill paid by TC. There's 1,000 and 1,000, it's split in half. What's that paid for? The question has been, what's that paid for? We haven't gotten an answer back as to what specifically that's paying for, because we already sign a voucher every billing cycle for Karen Graphics
Correct.
to process, fold, and stuff our bills.
Correct. So the first, just so that you know, the first ones were higher, and I emailed him back. I was working with the assistant treasurer who was handling all of this at the
Mhm.
time. So if the first came in May, they came in around $5,000 each.
For,
The bills paid to Karen.
oh, for Karen?
Yep, so I sent back and forth, said, you need to show me documentation, just please, and about a few other things that we've been going back and forth.
We need the bill.
So I got this, the 3rd of July.
Mhm.
Yep, the 3rd of July with this new numbers, and I asked him again for explanations. He said some of them were duplicates. I said, okay, but what you're charging me for, I need
We
to
the actual-
see.
We need the actual bill.
So he said either later today or Friday. I was not here Friday. I came in on Monday. He is off this week, so I have not followed back up with him yet.
Which is staying in office until we find.
It had to be paid because it's a fiscal year '24.
So we've paid that bill.
But if there's a discrepancy,
They can give it back.
I will fight for it. Rest assured. So I'm going back and forth.
Because postage, the only thing we really mail out
Well, the
is
thing is,
bills
right, and those go through, but they're saying
for
they do,
demands.
demands they do in-house, and sometimes I'll get a return bill, and if I research it further, I'll find that an address has changed or something, and I'll resend out a bill, or if we send anything out, that's the
Because that's
postage.
between the two departments, that's almost $500. That's roughly 1,000 bills. That's a lot of,
Yeah,
we send out 1,000 bills,
between demands, and you've got to, I
1,000
bill,
demands in
More
a
like
year.
800 bills.
I send out twice a
Yeah,
year.
no, Postal Service is gonna rip off.
Twice a year fire protection to about 40 businesses twice a year. I send out backflow bills.
Okay, I mean, and-
So there are,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
really not a whole lot. The things that, that Karen bill, and Vader, actually, we've got bills on there for Vader that, again, we pay Vader, right?
we paid them directly. The money was returned, and because I'm not sure exactly what happened, I'm still in the process of trying to find out, but I did make sure that the money was either what they want is, I'm not sure who wants it that way, is that we pay the treasurer collector and he submits for everything. So I did have a copy of the Vadar bill, and this is the same, but I did make sure the money was returned.
You want to see the bill and what percent
But
we're
going
being
forward,
billed
yes,
for.
the bill
'Cause
needs
actually,
to
that should be
be.
part of indirects, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of seeing the bill.
And I'm told now that this will be done monthly, rather than, this was for almost the entire year.
Well,
So, but I'm told it'll be done monthly, so you'll see a better breakdown.
insurances and things like that should be.
Mhm.
Like I said, because if you quit, and we paid it for a year for your insurance, we'll never see that money.
You just put that on the agenda for next meeting, just so we
Yeah.
run it again?
Yep.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Start with the sewer. Couple things. Eisenhower Drive, I'm still on the town planner, who's leaving
Today's his last
today.
day.
And went over it again, that to get the planning board to start getting the highway department and the engineer up for the town to assess the road, so they can make up a cost factor to charge a betterment fee to Eisenhower Drive. And we submitted ours at 20 grand. That's about, plus there's 10 already in the fund, but that's for emergencies in case something happens at that
So
station.
we're looking at $30,000.
Plenty of money to finish up what we have to do.
Okay.
So it's in the hands of them now. We're waiting on them to assess the road, make up a figure, and then they can present it to the neighborhood as to what the prices, the costs are, and what they're doing. So that's still in the works. Big project down here for the interceptor is already starting phases for engineering, getting, going to be cameraing, assessing manholes, all sorts of things. So that's all coming up, along with the project for Mill Street, sometime in August. So
Okay.
busy couple months for sewer. Water side, one of our employees is going to be going back out on workman's comp for the same injury that hasn't been fixed properly. And you're probably looking at another 4 months we'll be without him. So again, we'll be back in well, we're always in a shortage, but we'll be in a big shortage for quite some time. So that's going to be probably around the August timeframe, August 6th timeframe starting out. I'm working with Place Motors. I'm going to be looking at trading in that dump truck for a vehicle for the primary operator. And he's still working on getting us either a Explorer-type vehicle or a Ranger-type vehicle. Something used.
Can we hold off on that? We can decide what to do with the dump truck first?
You have to put it to public bid for pricing, and it goes, and then you lose the funding for it. This way here, I don't have to go through the process of,
But if we get more for public, then
it doesn't help me any. I can't use that for purchasing a vehicle. I'm using this
we
as
haven't
a,
decided we need another vehicle yet, especially with you losing a guy for 4 months.
the
I know
vehicle,
it'd be nice to have, and not to hop on it, George, but with a vehicle, we're looking at maintenance for another vehicle for years to come.
no, not really. I mean, we have standard maintenance on all our vehicles all the time. We right now, every truck being used has to be rotated through the primary operator because he's putting on extraordinary mileage on it. And I'm talking dump trucks, pickup trucks. Can't keep doing that. I can't keep replacing pickup trucks. They're very expensive.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a used vehicle that we can apply the dump truck to.
You say-
It's only worth about 10 grand.
You say extraordinary miles, what number is that?
Well, let's put it this way. The F-350 that's equivalent to mine, which is the 2021, has 40,000 miles on it already, okay? And I had to revert that to the other guys to use and give him the 2018, which is more economical.
21.
It's already up to 50,000
3 years
miles.
old.
And it's up to 50,000 miles. You understand? I'm saying this is a critical thing because of all the callbacks coming in and out of the station where he's living, or for call-outs, or for checking stations. It's constant. So by doing this, I can use the money from the truck to get something that's economical for just him to do his mileage and at low mileage, so that we don't have to worry about using a pickup truck for that. He'll still have equipment to put in, or a little toolbox. But I can't keep having that. Everybody in these towns have some kind of vehicle like that for their operators or their whatever to use because of the running around.
How many people do we have working, George?
We have, I'm not gonna name them off. I've got myself, I've got 3 on my side, okay? Seward's on there. So
How many vehicles do we own, George?
we own 2 pickup trucks, 3 pickup trucks, and the rest are dump truck, box truck, and dump truck, backhoe. So, like I said, when everybody's out working too, we're not gonna keep,
Everybody
Water
knows
water
that.
department has 3 pickup trucks. And the sewer department has,
2 pickup trucks, and they
So
use
5
one,
pickup
and they
trucks.
rotate with the little one if they need a truck. They borrow our little truck a lot. So that kind of goes
but
between
there's
both
5
departments.
pickup trucks altogether.
No, there's my truck, Luke's truck, Brian's truck. Timmy uses between Luke and Timmy, if he has the box truck. We can't keep using the box truck regularly all the time, because
And you got the-
that's up there
that's
much. So, that's all we have. So, Brian is using a pickup truck right now to do all the running around, and it's not very economical, and it's wearing, tearing on a primary work truck. Because that truck is a perfect truck we use for metering, emergency calls, what have you. The other truck is also the same basically setup, but that truck was used excessively when it first came in. And now we got to trim down the mileage on it. Can't go buying a new truck every 2 years, 3 years. Or warranties are running out on them too. I think my truck's almost out of warranty now. So by doing this, I can use the money for that dump truck and bypass all the procurement stuff about capital improvement and everything to get another vehicle. And not have to get another brand-new vehicle, but I get a,
The email what I saw, you said was the truck plus another $5,000, 55.
5 grand is using out of capital money at the most to offset any cost more. That vehicle is only worth like 10 grand, so there's gonna be some attributing of some capital money towards this vehicle. But I told him 5,000 is my limit. I'm not going past 5,000. So he's looking for a vehicle, low mileage, fit the bill, trade in the truck, and 5,000 if it's needed is there. And that's it. So it's worth a shot doing that. Otherwise, you've got to put it out to public bid, and you might even get less, and we lose the money. We can't use that money for anything to buy another vehicle. It goes back in the fund, the general fund, or retained earnings. Yeah.
I'm not sold on you even at the truck, George.
Well, it's like I said,
Not sold either.
well, I mean, I can do it myself anyway. I really don't need the board's approval for it. It's out of my money, out of my capital budget. So I'm not using any major town funds for it, no retained earnings, nothing.
Our budget, your budget is our budget. We approve the budget.
But I'm responsible for the budget and working on the budget.
It's,
So-
but
But
If I need equipment and I need something
I'm
on
not
it,
gonna,
I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm just saying, I know about the trucks and I know what's going on with everything, and pretty soon I'm gonna have to,
You said 40,000 miles on a 2021, whatever it was?
2018 truck that we've had for a while has already got 50,000 miles on it.
okay, 2018.
The
that's
2001,
6 years old.
the 2021 F-350 that
All right,
he,
wait, the
That's
28
6 years old, that's less than 10,000
no, no, no,
a
no,
year.
the 20, that was one we just gave him, because that had already had high mileage from the previous superintendent.
But in 2018 with 60.
No, not 2018. The F-350, which is a 2021, was given to him when it was just after I used it for a while, about not even a year. It's got almost 40,000 miles on it already, okay? Like,
It's 3 years old.
It's 3 years old.
Yeah,
It's-
that's for a municipal truck,
That's 15,000 miles a year.
that's even high for a municipal truck, especially an F-350. It's supposed to be mainly a work truck, not a runaround truck, not a run here, run there. I'm talking going out of town. So this way here, we can look at a vehicle that, because every Webster has a car, all these towns have vehicles to do running around and stuff in them.
And I believe Bob suggested get a runaround vehicle, an electric one that you plug in. I think, I could be wrong,
I-
Okay.
but, Mr. Chairman, can we hold off on getting another vehicle until we can discuss it more? I mean, we're bleeding money. I mean,
Well, if I have to replace a vehicle, you're gonna bleed a lot more money, and I have to go through the whole process of being without a vehicle for a while.
I understand that.
And the maintenance cost of fixing these things is not cheap. We can't even fix them anymore like we used to, because they're all state-of-the-art equipment now. So we have to take it to Ford.
But nobody's, who's to say that we buy a used vehicle, it's not gonna need fixing down the road?
Anything will need some kind of fixing or maintenance down the road, but at least it's doing the most economical job for what it is, because you're not hauling a lot of stuff in it. It's just mainly running around, answering calls, going back to the plant, back and forth to the house, back to plant. And that's a constant right now. It's gonna be that way for a while.
Do we know what we're burning in fuel? Using, like a F-350 going
Yeah, we
30
have-
miles versus.
It has it on the car, on his cards, on the,
Yeah, I can tell by how much, because each person uses their own card.
it gives a good idea.
Because I understand that the logic of using, one of these work trucks, it's like an F-350 to go back and forth is just not economical. for
And they're
fuel.
not,
And they're not designed to do
I
that.
think that's a 150, isn't it?
The one he just moved into is a 150, but it
That's the
already
one
has
with the
higher
big-
mileage.
That's the one with the big lift gate on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
With the-
heavier. It's
With the
gonna-
goofy toolboxes.
I'd be in
I'm
favor
just
of
not
having.
sold on the new vehicle.
Huh?
I'm just not sold on the new vehicle, not the vehicle. We get the answer to the users too, how many people you got, compared to the amount of vehicles we own, it's,
You've got 3 pickup trucks. You got Bronco.
5.
No, the other trucks.
Sewer as well.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the sewer. That's for them. We don't touch their trucks for using it for anything.
They're all we, George.
Huh?
They're all we. That's what we need to stop, us and them.
I don't use sewer trucks to do water department business and travel them out to wherever. Unless there's a major emergency and everything's shut down, then I'll pick it. But overall, they have their trucks, they do their running around with theirs, we do running around with ours.
Okay, so
And the little truck acts as a backup for both, in case one breaks down or
you've
whatever.
got 3 trucks for 4 employees.
Yeah. And we can't keep using the box truck for run around. We were doing that for a while, and that jumped that mileage way up there too. And like I said, comes maintenance, all sorts of things. Tires, a lot of brakes, a lot of costs.
I'm just not sold on it. That's my opinion.
Okay, I don't know, what's pleasure? I don't know if anybody else. I'm not really, I'm not sold on needing another vehicle. I understand trying to get something that's more
Would- yeah.
mileage for, more economical for fuel use. But,
George, would we be able to replace the F-150 with this? Or eliminate the F-150 eventually?
Well, I'm hoping to hold on to that for quite a while. It's a great little work truck with the lift gate and everything, and saves us a lot of
the
work.
F-1000?
Oh, the F-150, I'm sorry. I mean, I could trade it in along with the dump truck and get something for almost nothing, I would assume. But then again, that was our truck that we always kind of use a lot for various little
But I mean,
runaround trips.
yeah, well, again, you've got
Yeah.
4 people in 3 trucks, and
Well,
what's the need for that many vehicles in a town this size? I
Is
just,
everybody running their own way?
A lot of times, they're all running their own way unless the 2 people I need on a job.
What I'm,
Well, if you're on a job, there has to be at least 2 people on the job.
Or there's varied people what person that job is going with. Brian could be on one job, who could be on another job.
But
Timmy could have
there's gonna
another
be
truck to
2
meet them
people.
on a job.
There's gonna be 2 people on a job.
Not necessarily 2 people all the time on a job.
no,
There's-
okay,
you know. I mean, if you want to look at trading in the F-150, we don't know anything on that truck, but I don't know how much it'll give us, but we can try.
well, I'm just wondering if we're talking about total value of vehicles.
because we were insuring all these vehicles, and
Well, that's,
they're just, one of them's always just sitting around doing nothing. Do we really need to have that? Do we need to have that many extra vehicles?
what, if you lost the 150 to
Yeah.
replace it, it sounds like Explorer, Ranger, something more economical
Yeah.
is of more value to the department than the 150 provides value.
Well, at this time, with the amount of traveling around, absolutely, it'd be more valuable to have a replacement vehicle. Because,
So does it make sense to see what it would look like? Trade in the dump, trade in the 150.
Right.
To get something so that the extra vehicle is the economical vehicle.
you know, we can do that if you want to go that route.
I mean,
Then
we're
you
talking about increasing our fleet. We're talking about putting another set of tires on the road. We replaced the dump truck, but then we want to replace the dump truck with another vehicle, so we're actually increasing the number of vehicles we have, but we're not increasing the number of people. There's no need to have that many vehicles. So, yeah, I mean, if we can keep the size of the fleet the same, okay, you're justified, I think. But,
I mean, the little truck was worth nothing. It was kept because it's
but it's
working
it's-
ability
it-
and stuff,
it's an
you know?
expense. It's an expense for insurance and for tires and for inspection and for,
Gas.
and all of the
Gas
stuff that.
anyway.
Well, I mean, we
All
used it a
of
lot in place of one of the bigger ones sometimes.
Right.
So,
But
but if you want to use the small one, go with that for one for him.
In theory, then, if you trade the both in, you could almost make this budget neutral where there'd be no cost for the new vehicle.
Right.
Increase the fleet. I think that's the best value to the ratepayer as far as I see it, but,
I mean, there may be still something, the truck's not worth anything, but it may still
Yeah.
be some,
You know, they'll give
some
you
minute
500
cost.
bucks.
Can we get a,
But it's decreasing our expense lines because it's less
it's
insurance.
not adding to our expense.
It's not adding, right.
yeah, new
Can we
vehicle
get
might.
a printout of what the gas usage on that truck was?
Yep.
On the 2018, on the F-150.
Which one?
The
The
F-150.
F-150, the one that Brian
Yeah,
takes?
Yeah.
Well, and actually, the fuel is based on individual fuel cards. It's not based
Not the
on the
vehicle.
vehicle.
But they technically should be filling up their truck.
That's Brian's truck.
But if who fills up the ones that, like the box truck? Who fills that?
That doesn't hardly use any, as far as
It all
fuel,
goes by-
Somebody puts gas in it.
But it all goes by plate numbers.
there's a plate
So
on the
I
truck.
when they put their thing in, they
Okay.
have to,
All right.
so I can pull by plate numbers once I make sure I have the correct plate
Yeah,
number.
so
Okay.
we could see the fuel by vehicle then.
Brian
Correct.
take it home?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. He's back and forth in and out of town all the time. All hours of the night. And it's gonna get worse with that one employee being gone. Again.
So I kind of want to get him squared away, so he's,
I understand that part of it.
I'm okay with this if we keep the fleet the same size, because that keeps insurance at least neutral.
Right,
Um,
it might go up a little with a newer vehicle.
Right, but,
Well, it won't be because it's gonna be, well, it'll be newer than.
just for, you know.
But we're not gonna be insured, no.
we're not insuring another vehicle.
We're not increasing our fleet.
Yeah.
And that There's
We're
no need to.
we're replacing.
There's no need to have more vehicles sitting in the garage. That was my main.
So by
issue.
him taking that truck, we'll let him do whatever running around he has to do and bring us back our work truck again. So even the F-350
Right.
would lighten its load a little bit, because they
Sure.
like using that truck. It's more versatile, and the lift gate and
And it would
everything.
rarely leave town at that point.
Yeah, rarely, yes,
Right.
that's right.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll go with that then.
okay. All right, I noticed a note was having a meeting with DOR for the town audit.
Not yet, that's coming up.
Next Wednesday.
It's coming up next Wednesday, yeah. Jen wrote a note on the top. Make sure that this is that audit that everybody's screaming about, make sure that it's.
And Brian and I are both going to that meeting together.
Okay, Brian knows the budget really well. Okay, good. Anything else on the superintendent's report?
No, I think we're going, I think we got those.
You're moving to getting cheaper, going with the cheaper rates for materials?
Yes, they give us deals at Hilka, and Ross is way off base.
Okay, cool.
I know George, the, West Main, they be doing the top bid.
Milling and paving tonight. Scott brought up, they've had some problems, even when they were doing the work on the actual main. And I asked him for 2 crews to come in, do one side and the other. Somehow he couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. He had another project that took some of the guys away. So that was got more into 8 o'clock in the morning till we could get the water back on.
They were still working out there milling this morning
Yeah.
at 7:30.
He's been having trouble with that Miller machine that he got. It's been broken
Again,
half the time.
That's an
and-
excuse. It just, and we can talk about it tomorrow during the meeting. I mean, it was supposed to be 9 to 5. At 7:30, they still have West Main Street shut down, and there's traffic everywhere, and it's a nightmare.
Trying to get in here tonight.
So, well, that's to be understood, but where they had it down to one lane way later than they were supposed to. So I'm just wondering, what time did they start last night? And that was my question.
8 o'clock.
They started at 8 and they were still working it. They took them 12 hours to mill that short section of road.
Timmy was on for a while. I came in later on to check on him.
Okay. All right, that West Main Street has to be right, because you know the state's not gonna, Mr. Rodenheiser's not gonna let it fly. All right, anything else on the superintendent's report?
No, that's,
Okay. Board comments. Jen, did you have anything?
Nope.
George, anything else?
It was a previous agenda item, but we
Oh,
resolved the
yeah, sorry.
electric rates with the town
I was gonna ask that.
Oh,
water
yeah.
office, so we're now in a new rate for the next 3 years.
Same company?
Same company that we were currently buying from at a much lower rate, so we're saving we'll get that $30,000 savings roughly is what we're estimating, so.
cost of a new truck.
30 grand on electric bill. Wait till you see some of our electric bills.
Yeah. Yeah, there was it was brought up at the last selectmen's meeting, or 2 selectmen meetings ago. Some
Yes.
of the things were said that everything is factually correct, it's just how the process laid out was a little different, but I think mutually it works well for the town and it works well for us, so I'm happy with it. So.
In the end, that's all that matters.
I'll be the first one. Second one, same. Nice job.
Thank you.
You have anything?
I'm all set.
Sean? Just one real quick, the other day during your second water main break, the one on Bud Drive, one of the selectmen, it was right in front of one of the selectmen's houses, that selectman did call it out during the selectmen's meeting on Monday, and did say that he actually told me he got an education on what is actually involved in that, and he got a little bit of an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, you did. You did.
He got educated, so he was impressed with your work. So, and he said something during the meeting Monday night. You were there.
Yep.
So
You going to go back and clean up the area?
I'm trying. I don't have people.
Only 'cause
We,
one of my neighbors asked me on.
yeah,
on
we'll get to it eventually. We
on
want
Sandra
to,
that-
we got to pave it up and
Yeah.
clean it up, but like I said,
They asked me and I told them I would talk to you. I was going to call you and I got busy.
I'm working with MJ too. He might help us out to get one of the, like you have done, so we can at least get ahead on the paving. Because once August 6th comes, I'm going to be really in hardship. So I want to try to get that wrapped up.
okay, and get those, especially get the lawns cleaned up and seeded,
Yeah.
because both of them were significantly onto grassy areas.
Yeah, I got to get some room too. So.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.